So during the months of May and June, Bering is going to add two new pastoral team members. Paul Riddle and Lori Norris are rolling off. And so we wanted to have just a quick conversation with Sarah Pybus and Jim Harrod, two of our pastoral team members, just to talk about what it is to be on the pastoral team. So Sarah, we'll start with you. What would you say is your role and responsibilities as a pastoral team member?
I think the key thing for me is the spiritual well-being of our community. And I feel like a huge part of what I do as a pastoral team member is be in prayer about my flock. The pastoral team is divided into groups, and we each have a flock. And those people become very key to my prayer life, since I've become a pastor at Bering. The concerns about them and about not only spiritual well-being, but as we've gone through this year of trauma, about physical well-being and what we can do to be of assistance to each other. So that's a big part of what being on the pastoral team has meant for me. We also are involved in making decisions about the future of Bering and the direction that Bering needs to be going, and we are in prayer about those things. I think that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, good. Jim, how would you describe your role and responsibilities? What would you add to that?
Sarah got it really right. I would just say that a lot of it is around care and caring for and watching over as overseers for the congregation from the standpoint of needs of individuals, and also the spiritual needs, but also for the individual, but also for the church, and the life of the church, and the life that we have here together under the roof, and then wherever we are. So being able to be open, be available to for calls, for contact, for a shoulder or whatever, to come alongside of people, to be with them in whatever they're dealing with. And some of the richest times that I've had have been with being with individuals as they're going through a difficult time. So being available for that is one of the primary things that I try to look to be able to do.
And Jim, you've served on the pastoral team off and on for decades now. You know, we take, for those who don't know the way that we do the pastoral team here, we have terms, anywhere from 4, 5, 6 years, just depending on the circumstances. And then there is a rolling off, like what Paul and Lori are about to do. That's a sabbatical, so that we don't burn out our members, quite to put it bluntly. But you served on the team for years. You've had these sabbaticals, and then you've come back on the team. For Paul and Lori rolling off, and then we have these two new members, one man and one woman, that we need to nominate and put on the team. What would you say, in looking back on all the time, and especially where we are right now in Bering, what does Bering need right now from our current and our two new pastoral team members?
I think the willingness and time available to spend the time. And because it does take time, it does take energy, it does take effort and work to be involved in the ways that we need to be, but also it really requires a maturity in being able to listen and hear from the congregation, and also discernment. What does that mean in overall discerning in the life of the church, in the future for the church, and being able to put that all together into the spiritual growth and also the direction for the congregation.
Good. And Sarah, what would you add to that?
I would just say that I think that we are, in particular, these two members. I think Laurie offers a person who is very willing to listen to different points of view and understand different points of view. So I think someone who has that ability and the willingness to work through difficult things, because decisions are made about difficult things. I think that someone would need to be willing to do that. And I think in the case of Paul, we're losing such a pastoral person. He's very calm and very prayerful, and so I think someone who is very committed to prayer, very committed to being a calm presence. These are things that I think we will be missing in these two in particular.
Yeah, we will. If you have the opportunity to talk to people before you nominate them, we certainly encourage that, just to make sure that they be willing to serve. And then if, especially over the next few weeks, when you have someone to nominate, or ideally a man and a woman, although you can nominate multiples, please send those via email to either Cynthia or to me, and then we will be in ongoing communication towards the end of May and the beginning of June about our two new members, and then about Paul and Lori rolling off as well.